The Kitsune and Wolfskin Banner features our 4 beast characters from Fates. We have Keaton plus his daughter Velouria, and Kaden plus his daughter Selkie. Now these 4 are pretty darn popular, and it's not surprising to see them get into the game so soon after the introduction of beast units. I'm happy we're getting more beast units because having more beast types on the same team makes it way easier to keep them transformed. These 4 offer a lot of variety to pair with our first group, and we'll be discussing their stats, new weapons and skills, plus I'll cover a few build ideas and the type of play styles each of them can use. Let's get into it. First up we have Keaton, who is a wolf skin, and these are beasts that are big, super jacked looking werewolves. Keaton is a red beast infantry unit with some very impressive stats. He has 45 HP, 41 attack, 24 speed, 38 defense, and 19 resistance. 41 base attack, and I believe he has an attack super boon as well. He easily has the highest base attack for all infantry units, and his 38 defense ties Lucas for the highest base defense as well. He has a solid 45 HP, and while 19 resistance is low, it's not that terrible. Keaton does sacrifice his speed as expected, and his 24 speed is only going to get worse when you include his unique weapon. Basically, Keaton is very well tuned for his own weapon, and you'll find out why he has such a ridiculous attack stat. Before we get to that, I do want to touch on his old skills. Keaton's high attack should make it obvious why he has Draconic Aura as his special, since it adds to its damage output. His B skill is Special Spiral, which is one of my favorite skills. After every fight, if Keaton procs his Special Spiral will give him 2 charges after combat. It's a skill meant for 100% special uptime for every fight, and its only weakness is that you have to activate your special first before it starts going. Once it does though, it's a very powerful ability, and even if you don't want to use Keaton, you should absolutely save Special Spiral. Now for Keaton's weapon, it's called Wolfskin Fang. It only has 9 might, which may seem very low, but that's because it's a special brave type weapon. It inflicts -5 speed on Keaton, which drops his 24 base speed down to 19, which is pretty miserable. However, Wolfskin Fang allows Keaton to always attack twice, no matter if he initiates or defends. This is just like SWORDHART. This ability allows Keaton to put out some insane damage, and it pairs very well with his high base attack stat. As a reminder, SWORDHART was the only character in the entire game who could get off 4 attacks on the enemy phase if he used something like Quick Riposte. Keaton now joins that club. By attacking more often, it means Keaton can charge his special faster, and this makes Wolfskin Fang work really well with Special Spiral. For example, once Keaton activates Draconic Aura 1 time, it will then get put on a 1-turn cooldown for the next fight. Since he always attacks twice, he will activate Draconic Aura again on his second hit, and this process repeats over and over. As an infantry beast unit, he also gets the +10 damage on special procs when he is transformed, plus that extra 2 attack. I think it's pretty easy to see that Keaton has tremendous damage output potential. Now for Keaton's second new skill, it's called Beast Valor. The Valor skills simply grant double SP to all unit types with the corresponding name. It is purely for training and does nothing in actual combat. Once you are happy farming enough SP, be sure to exchange this skill out for whatever you want. Keaton's job is pretty simple: hit things a couple times and watch them die. To help him, Death Blow will give him more attack for his double hits, and Keaton can basically function like any old player phase brave weapon user. You could also try out Sturdy Impact if you really want, because I think its extra abilities are totally worth it over 2 extra attack from Death Blow 4. Since Keaton has Special Spiral, he can have a lot of fun, especially with Heavy Blade. This combo can be used with 4-turn specials like Dragon Fang, Ignis, or even Astro. Dragon Fang will be better if you can get Keaton some attack buffs. Otherwise, Ignis is a safe bet since he has really high base defense as well. Once you get Keaton's first special to activate, he becomes a deadly special machine, being able to proc these high damage specials over and over as long as Heavy Blade also activates. If you want to copy SWORDHART, Keaton can adopt the very annoying Distant Counter plus Vantage build. Being able to attack twice makes Keaton a very nasty Vantage user. With Distant Counter, if Keaton gets into Vantage range, he can gimp any squishy ranged units who try to take him out first. With this type of build, Keaton wants as much attack buffs as possible. You can try out Fierce Stance or Tagging Defense Bond for a Sacred Seal, and if you can get access to it, having Defense Smoke will help him take out large mobs of enemies. Keaton's main weakness is definitely mages who can safely double him and do good damage thanks to his low res stat. With this build, Keaton doesn't have to worry about this weakness since most mages are not going to be able to take 2 attacks and survive. Now while SWORDHART is plenty powerful with his 3 movement, he doesn't have access to many scary skills. Fortunately, as an infantry unit, Keaton has some neat new tricks. If you want to go for a more physical defensive setup, I think it's going to be very tough to top Ignis plus Steady Breath. This combo is pretty disgusting. If an enemy hits Keaton, that's 2 charges off Ignis. His first attack knocks another 2 charges off and Ignis is primed. On his second attack, Ignis goes off and that's over 30 damage right there. Not to mention that if Keaton is transformed, he gets another plus 10 damage. Truly disgusting stuff. Now if the enemy is still standing and they hit Keaton again, well, the process just repeats itself if you use quick riposte. I would say this build really just wants to focus on letting Keaton survive any potential specials, and Ignis will do the rest of the work. You have a lot of customization options for the Beast slot and Sacred Seal slot. Quick Riposte is probably overkill, but it can go in either slot if you want it. Wrath would be ridiculous since it stacks with the Beast transformation bonus. Renewal or Guard are good for higher defense, and Close Defense as a seal is another good choice. While this setup loses some player phase power, Keaton still does well since he can attack twice anyway, plus he has 2 movement. While his weakness to magic is a big one, he is very dangerous in physical melee battles. Overall, Keaton looks really good, can opt for player phase or enemy phase builds, and is very dangerous with his double attacks at all times. He has many builds that can spam specials faster, and that synergizes with the Infantry Beast transformation bonus, which gets him even more damage. I think he'll be a lot of fun to use. Our next unit is Velouria, who is Keaton's daughter. She is another Infantry Beast unit, but as a colorless one. Velouria has 40 HP, 35 attack, 37 speed, 33 defense, and 23 resistance. This is a pretty good stat line as far as melee units go. 35 attack, 37 speed is fantastic, and is paired with a healthy 33 defense and 40 HP. 23 resistance isn't too low, and Velouria can worry less about getting doubled, unlike her father. With no triangle advantage, Velouria may have a tough time finding a place on a team. However, she doesn't have huge weaknesses and can go toe to toe with a lot of threats thanks to her high speed and decent defenses. For her old skills, Velouria has Luna, which is perfectly fine for fighting any enemy. She also has Close Defense, which is a great defensive skill, granting +6 defense and res when defending. While her stats may skew more toward attacking, there's nothing wrong with having Close Defense in her base kit. Velouria's weapon is called Wolf Pup Fang, and it's a 14-point weapon that grants a flat +3 speed. If you're keeping track, that means a neutral Velouria has 40 speed, and that is very good. Now for its special effect. On turn 1, grants special cooldown count -2 to Velouria and her ally supported partner, if any. This is a pretty neat ability. Velouria getting -2 cooldown to a start a fight off is nice, but it does mean she doesn't get any other bonuses for the rest of the battle. Abilities like this tend to be best for shorter fights unless you have Special Spiral, which can keep the spam going. What's really powerful about this weapon is being able to share its effect with literally any unit in the game. You have to support them with Velouria using ally support, and technically you can swap this at any point with any unit. You don't need an S rank, so you can swap Velouria's support to anyone on her current team, and that opens up endless possibilities. Use it with allies like Ophelia, or with skills like Infantry Pulse and Special Spiral. As someone who really likes Legendary Hector's Osteus Pulse, I think this is a very strong ability. It can very much change how a unit plays, since they can maybe take a higher special or run a certain build. For example, if you give Reinhardt this -2 cooldown, he can instant proc Luna on his first engagement instead of Moonbow. Magic nukes like Lilina or Blade Tom Nino can have instantly charged glimmers. Wolf Pup Fang may not turn Velouria into a monster unit, but it's a very nice support weapon that can literally work with any unit, the only restriction being having that ally support. Now for more supporting options, Velouria introduces Ward Beast. Like the other ward scales, it grants +4 defense and resistance to all beast allies within 2 spaces during combat. Very strong for defensive or enemy phase beast units like Nyla or even Keaton. It's a simple buffing skill, and obviously you want to run it alongside a full beast team if you can. For builds, I think Velouria has a lot of options if you aren't looking for something expensive. Close defense may seem odd with her good attack and speed, but it's a fine option. You can pair it with other skills like guard or renewal. I think attack and speed bond is a good sacred seal to boost Velouria to a very comfortable 45 speed to double without quick riposte. If you keep Luna, it gets lowered to 1 cooldown on turn 1 thanks to Wolf Pup Fang, so Velouria can bait in an enemy, let them hit her once, and she will hit back with Luna. Honestly, that is perfectly fine for most 4v4 battles, although it may not be enough if you want Velouria to kill everything. Now if you're looking to play to Wolf Pup Fang's strengths, you want to pair Velouria up with a teammate to give them that -2 special cooldown. Ideally a beast ally would be nice since she has Ward Beast. You can add on more buffs like Rally Attack and Speed Plus, and Spur Defense and Res can go with Ward Beast to grant +7 defense and resistance in total for an ally. There is even the S rank support bonuses too. To continue supporting, a chill skill like Chill Speed is great for stopping dangerous threats, and you pretty much have the option for any A skill you want. Fury is great for the all-around stat boost and only adds to Velouria's great base speed. If you want Velouria to be a little more battle hungry, you can give her Special Spiral. It works amazingly with Wolf Pup Fang's first turn cooldown, and you can run all kinds of specials like Moonbell, Luna, or even Ignis. Velouria can opt for Aether, which gets on a 3-turn cooldown on turn 1. Using Flashing Blade, Velouria can proc Aether every battle if she doubles, and Special Spiral will allow her to keep doing this over and over. For an A skill, you definitely want something that boosts her speed more. Fury 3 is fine, but I think if you can manage to get it, you want attack and speed solo for a very offensive playstyle. Velouria can be quite scary if you use the right specials, and I think Special Spiral builds in general are a great idea for her. She offers a lot of power to another ally, and it's crazy what kind of builds she can tweak just because of the -2 cooldown. I think she can be a very cool unit, enabling all kinds of fun builds. Our third unit is Kaden, who is a Kitsune and transforms into a fox. He is a green beast unit, but is actually a cavalry beast unit, which is new. He has a new transformation bonus, which I will talk about shortly. Kaden has 38 HP, 32 attack, 36 speed, 25 defense, and 25 resistance. Decent attack and good speed paired with okayish defensive stats. Nothing too crazy, but we have a lot to talk about regarding his kit. For his old skills, Kaden has pivot so that he can apply speed and resistance link. This provides +6 speed and resistance for himself and an ally that is a part of a movement assist skill. This skill will be useful for Kaden due to his unique weapon. Kitsune Fang is a 14-man weapon that also grants +3 defense, which puts Kaden at 28 defense overall. To simplify its effect, basically you take any field buffs on Kaden and you grant allies within 2 spaces these same stat boosts just as combat buffs. As an example, if Kaden has +6 attack, +3 speed, +4 defense and resistance as field buffs, then he will pass on to all allies near him the same +6 attack, +3 speed, and +4 defense and resistance, just as in combat buffs. Might be best to think of it like a very strong drive skill, and Kaden can create some insane buffing scenarios when multiple allies also have field buffs since they stack with combat buffs. Legendary Marth is a good example. He has a similar effect where he takes all the field buffs on himself and grants himself the same boost as combat buffs. If you had Kaden and Marth both with +6 attack field buffs, then Marth would end up with +18 total attack because of the +6 field buff, +6 from his own weapon, and then another +6 from Kaden. Kaden will be a lot of units' new best friend. Now this weapon also has a new cavalry beast transformation bonus. When beast units transform, they each get different bonuses depending on their movement type. Everyone seems to always get +2 attack. Infantry get +10 damage on special triggers, flyers get +1 movement, and cavalry, being Kaden and Selkie, get, if unit initiates combat, inflicts -4 attack and defense on foe during combat, and they can't make a follow-up attack. If you ask me, cavalry have a very strong bonus. I personally see it as a mini sturdy impact effect because you deal more damage thanks to the enemy losing defense and you take less damage since they lose attack, plus you prevent a follow-up. Remember, this only happens when you initiate, and with 3 movement, Kaden and Selkie will be tricky to deal with. I'm curious if we will see armored beast units. I'm sure they'll be pretty crazy if it ever happens. Coming back to Kaden, he has Gold Beast as his second new skill. It grants +4 attack and speed to beast allies within 2 spaces during combat. Obviously this pairs very well with Kitsune Fang, and Kaden can add tons of combat buffs to a team made of all beast units. With Ward and Gold Beast, we also complete all 4 Beast Emblem team buffs. Time to start figuring out a good Beast Emblem. For builds, Kaden is in a bit of an odd spot. Kitsune Fang is pretty cool, but it doesn't actually help Kaden himself in his own battles. Because of this, I think he really needs to take advantage of the mini sturdy impact effect that comes when he transforms. He will need to initiate fights, and an A skill like Swift Sparrow can give him more offensive stats to take down enemies. For the most part, if you use Kaden, you should be using him to buff up your other allies. Speed and Res Link and Gold Beast combined can grant +4 attack, +16 speed, and +12 resistance to one beast ally, assuming you hit them with the Link buff. To improve this, you ideally want to get Kaden field buffs for all stats so that he can share them with the rest of the team. If you want Kaden to be the buff master himself, he can actually pull it off. As mentioned, like any Link skill will be amazing for Kitsune Fang because of how field buffs and combat buffs stack. Wave buffs can do the exact same thing, just that it's every other turn and you need to be adjacent to your ally. If you use even attack and even defense wave, plus speed and defense link, you can actually cover all stats for Kaden and one other ally. Kitsune Fang is passing on +6 in combat buffs, while his ally should have +6 in field buffs for a total of +12 altogether on all stats. I don't think this is the best setup for Kaden, but it can work. I would rather use the joint buffs since they work every turn. However, we only have one of those so far, so it's not exactly possible to cover all the stats. Overall, Kaden is okay as a unit and has an odd dilemma. You can make him stronger with better skills, but his weapon and base kit work to make his ally stronger instead. I think that is probably his best usage, and he would probably be amazing in a tactics team. Unfortunately, he doesn't want to be running the attack debuffs since he wants the buffs himself. This would mean you really need 2 or more allies running different buffs to help Kaden pass along his support to everyone. He's in a bit of a tough position, and you definitely need to think about who his allies are and what buffs the whole team has. If you can do so, then I think Kaden can be a great support unit. Last but not least, we have Selkie, and she is the daughter of Kaden. Selkie is another cavalry beast unit, this time our blue beast of the banner. Her stats include 35 HP, 29 attack, 38 speed, 19 defense, and 35 resistance. Oof, 29 attack is rough in today's game, but at least her 38 speed and 35 resistance are both really high. Her HP and defense are quite low as well, which would make Selkie seem a bit squishy for a melee unit. However, she plays a very sneaky game of stats thanks to her weapon. Before we get to that, her ode skills include Iceberg, which is great for her high base resistance. Tag and Speed Bond helps her low attack and boosts her great speed to even higher limits. Her C skill is Even Res Wave, and it boosts her base 35 resistance up to 41 on even numbered turns. Selkie definitely wants that extra resistance because of her weapon, Fox Kit Fang. Fox Kit Fang is a 14-man weapon that adds another +3 res to putting Selkie at 38 resistance overall. She wants to stack resistance because Fox Kit Fang needs it for comparing. At the start of combat, if Selkie's resistance is greater than the foe's resistance and she is fighting a melee weapon type, then she gets a bonus to all stats equal to 50% of the difference between the comparing res stats. This has a maximum of +8 and it's a combat buff, which means she can stack that on top of any field buffs she has. My goodness, this is quite the ability. To make things clear, Selkie's res stat is what's important for each part. To get the maximum +8 bonus, she needs to have 16 or more resistance than her opponent. By the way, this is at the start of combat, so in-combat buffs are not accounted for. With 38 res, Selkie gets the full bonus against a 22 resistance enemy, but with Even Res Wave active, that number goes up. This is a pretty crazy effect, and Kaden can super buff up his daughter if the two of them manage to get good field buffs. Remember that Fox Kit Fang only works on melee enemies. However, if you can also get the transformation bonus, then Selkie becomes a sneakily dangerous opponent. Selkie's new B skill is called Sabotage Attack 3. At the start of the turn, if any foe's resistance is less than or equal to Selkie's resistance, -3, and the foe is adjacent to another foe, they get inflicted with -7 attack through their next actions. I like this new skill, and it's probably closest to a versus knight, but it compares resistance rather than HP. It's also like a chill debuffing skill since the range is global. However, with 2 activation conditions, it's not guaranteed to hit someone. Unlike chills, though, you can potentially debuff multiple units and even the entire team. Selkie herself will proc Sabotage Attack against foes with 35 or less resistance, and not many units can reach that threshold. Aversa has to compete with high HP armor foes and merged units, but Selkie doesn't have as much competition. It doesn't panic like a versus knight, but -7 attack on multiple enemies is very strong. I think Selkie is going to have a very interesting playstyle. You definitely want her to have as much resistance as possible to get the maximum bonus from Fox Kit Fang. If you want Selkie to tank attacks near her team, then Attack and Speed Bond is fine, but as a 3 movement cavalry unit, Selkie will want to be on the attack. Even with her low base defense, with Sabotage Attack and the Cavalry Beast transformation bonus, the enemy is hit for -11 attack, and Selkie is potentially buffing her own defense or res thanks to Fox Kit Fang. Overall, her stats are extremely deceiving to both you as the player and as an enemy because she will get a different amount of bonus stats depending on how much res her opponent has. Sometimes she'll get that +8 to all stats and be amazing, but if she goes against another high res enemy, she may only get +1 or +2. You can try Resistance Ploy if you really want to make sure she gets at least some extra stats. If you aren't feeling she has enough damage, then you may want Flashing Blade for more Iceberg procs. I also think she is best on the attack because of her Beast transformation bonus, giving her extra damage as well, so a more offensive A skill like Swift Sparrow might be what you want. Overall, Selkie will be a strange unit. However, with Sabotage Attack, she brings a potentially very powerful debuff to the team, and she can definitely activate it on many units in the game. If you don't care about Sabotage Attack, then Desperation is another good choice. As I mentioned, I think Selkie is scariest when attacking, at least when transformed. She doesn't have a ton of health, so Desperation should be easy to get knocked into. You can pair with the usual Fury 3 to get there faster, and it offers more resistance to help Fox Kit Fang. You can keep Flashing Blade in this build, but it won't trigger Iceberg during Desperation. You can switch to Glacies or Moonbow depending on what you like. I think Selkie's performance hinges on how big of a boost she gets from Fox Kit Fang. It's tough to judge just how good she will be when she can potentially get another +8 to all stats at any time. Personally, I do think Sabotage Attack is an amazing skill, and Selkie can at least offer team support. If you want to play more defensively with her, then you can definitely want to pair her up with Kaden on a team and watch just how many combat buffs she can receive. Definitely an interesting unit, but I would have to actually use her to further judge how good she will be. That wraps up this long banner breakdown. We have 4 very unique units and they bring more variety to the beast units we have so far. I would definitely say try to get them if you like beast units and their transformation mechanics. They are very strong when used together. Now if you aren't summoning, you can look forward to the next Tempest Trials in a few days. It features Pan, who is a beast unit from Awakening. Unfortunately, she is another blue beast unit, but know that she is cavalry and she has some very good skills on her. Definitely worth looking forward to. Let me know you guys' thoughts on our new units, and I'll see you in the next video.